also known as the Cowboy's wife. I'm no expert on anything and I don't claim to be, but I have been alive for 56 years, so I have some funny stories. Come saddle up with me and take a ride, and maybe I can make you laugh or smile or cry or give you something to just think about that day. Let's do this. Hey everyone, good morning. Trish Charleston here. Today I have my handsome son-in-law, Colt Atwood. He is a Katy, Texas boy that is now a man. Sorry, I know I tend to say that. He's a man. And he is now a Missouri man, and we're glad that he's here. But since it's the week of college softball, and we're big softball fans, obviously, because that's how he ended up meeting my stunning daughter, we're just going to talk a little softball and baseball here for this week. And I was going to bring Quincy in, but she's got 3 kids hanging on her right now. And so she's like, I can't join today. So it's just you, Dad. You're on your own today. So you got to represent. Okay. So tell everybody a little bit about how you grew up, because you have a very unique family situation. Not to mention there's like so many of you.
Yeah. Down in Katy, Texas, there's 5 boys and 1 little girl, so 6 kids total. The 5 boys are all older than my little sister. She was the 6th, and so it was. I'm the 4th, so 3 older brothers, a younger brother, and a younger sister. It was all of us are within 7 years of each other. 5 boys, and then Lexi is 3 years younger than my little brother. So 10 years separates the oldest from the youngest. So it was. We got the 3 that are within roughly 3.5 years, and that felt like a lot. Well, 6 within 10 years feels like a little more. So I grew up that way, which when you're the son, it's a blast. I'm sure my mom may disagree, but it's a blast.
She told me 3 was hard. 4, hey, easy peasy.
It was irrelevant, right? I mean, I felt like my oldest brother was Mr. Mom, is what we called him, and he took care of a lot of us because he was 5 years older than I, and then, the next 2 were easy at that point. So, but yeah, we competed at all levels with things as silly as playing cards to obviously like Nintendo games to basketball to baseball to Hot Wheels tracks, who can build the fastest Hot Wheels track. I mean, it was nonstop. And so, we grew up that way, and we would have friends come over here and there. We'd have a pool in the backyard. So we'd be jumping in, throwing the ball behind your back, trying to make it in a basketball goal. Everything had a prize, and everything was going to be me versus you. We supported each other when it came to actual sports and when we separated out to where I was going to a baseball game that weekend, I had all the support from my family. But when we were home and it was me versus you, it was different. We didn't necessarily hurt each other, but it was I wasn't on your team at that point. I was your enemy. So it was pretty fun. It was every day and nonstop. And my poor mom, I talk about all the time. She's stopped listening to us, I felt like, when we were 3. Okay. And then she just stopped listening because we could be doing anything that we wanted to, and she was just there going with the flow.
But all of your brothers have commented on countless times when I've been around them that your mother is a saint. It's just a saint.
She is amazing.
She had that upstairs bedroom, and when there was 5 boys up there, she just never went up there ever.
the L-shaped, right? So it wasn't straight up; it was L-shaped. My mom never got above the middle. My entire childhood is wild. Yeah, she is that good with her grandbabies. I mean, you 2 are obviously one and the same, different backgrounds completely as far as where we live and all that good stuff. But you guys are one and the same. I mean, just.
Thanks.
When you can truly drop off your kids with somebody and not have to check in, not have to worry, not have to be concerned, it's pleasant. So thank you.
Well, I mean, together we are Lady Gaga. So
fitting. So perfect.
Yeah, so they call Colt's mom Lady, and they call me Gaga. And when we're together, it's the funniest thing because they're so confused. It's Lady Gaga, Lady Gaga,
Yeah.
Lady Gaga. So
Yeah.
it's
Charleston's
priceless.
going.
But
Charleston's going
so
1,000
let's
miles an hour. Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah. So a little bit background about the Atwood family. So this lineage did not just come. So all of the boys ended up being Division 1 athletes, correct? Or just four of
Just
you?
three of us.
Oh, three of you. I
Three of
thought
the
four of you.
three of the five boys played. We played baseball in college, but all of us in high school played either baseball or football. So
And you, I don't know about your other brothers, but you ended up with two state championship rings for Texas in football, correct?
So yeah, my older brother and I won together. I actually lost one state championship as well. My little
Oh,
brother won one. My two oldest brothers played in a baseball state championship, which they ended up losing. But still, all five boys played in a state championship.
oh wow. That's probably never happened in the entire history of the United States or the world.
We had the Houston Chronicle at the time, and I can't remember what year it was now. I graduated in 2011, so
Yeah,
somewhere
that's wild.
in there,
Well,
yeah.
and your grandpa, so your dad's dad played professional football, didn't he?
Yep, yep. So he played professional football for the New York Giants for in 1948, 1949, I believe. That was after he had already come back from the war.
And
Went
then he
and,
just opens a little thing called Atwood Oceanics. You know,
mhm.
he wasn't an impressive guy at all. Gosh, I would
Both
love to.
both of my grandfathers were engineers. They were both extremely
Wow.
intelligent. Yeah, they were, and I got two engineers in the family. My little sister's an engineer, and my oldest brother's an engineer. So
Oh, that's fantastic.
yeah,
That is fantastic.
pretty
And
interesting. The
you,
lineage is fun.
yeah, gosh, genetics. Genetics are important.
Wow.
Genetics are important, as we know here at K&T Cattle Company in the bull business. And over there at Atwood, the Rockin' A, you guys are breeding some athletes over there. I think they're monsters. Sibby's not even a year old, and man, she looks like she's 3.
The
So
the size of our kids
that
is
comes from
unmatched.
my
So
side.
they're big.
That comes from the Charleston side of the family. I'm sorry, Colt. I'm not giving you that gene.
Mhm.
I'm not giving you
Yeah.
credit for that, Gene. I don't know, but your grandpa, that could have been go back to the Atwood because your grandpa, was he big?
The one that played professionally, no, but my mom's
Really?
dad was a large man. I mean, he was
Really?
just he reminded me of Kevin, honestly. They're built very similar. Their
Oh,
hands are
wow.
just big. They're big, solid people. And yeah, my grandfather that played professionally was a running back, and he was built like me. I mean, he was just
Wow.
could slide through holes, this and that, I guess, is that why he was successful, but not a large man.
Yeah. So you went on to play for Sam Houston, and your dad played for Sam Houston too, right?
Dad,
And
my dad played lacrosse there. Yep.
lacrosse.
Um,
Okay.
Dad played lacrosse there, and then yes, I went and played baseball at Sam Houston, and I had an older and my younger brother played baseball at Texas State University, where Quincy went.
Yeah. And Texas State is where I always loved softball, but that's where I learned to really love softball when we got to go to the big stuff. And she was, she pitched and won against Texas
Yeah,
and A&M and M and all those things, and that was such a blast in our life that we're never going to forget those times. But your baseball career was pretty amazing. You held the hitting record. Do you still hold the hitting record for Sam Houston?
no one's told me that I don't have it. I haven't looked. I left with a couple records from Sam Houston. I believe they're all still there, which I
What was
I
the other
played
one?
games played and games started. So just the overall, amount of games that
Wow.
you go in.
Yeah.
That one's unique. So the hits, that may have been it. But that one, the games
That's
played one's interesting because, nowadays when there's somebody that plays as a freshman for 3 full years, they usually get drafted and go play. So I was unique enough to where I got to play 4 years, which, like I said, doesn't
well,
happen
but
very.
tell the rest of the story, you're being very humble. You also got drafted, but you just didn't go play.
Correct. Yeah, it was
So-
that did happen. The Oakland Athletics did draft me in college, and so that was an awesome experience. It just wasn't maybe a move that I needed to make personally for me. Um, I was able to,
and tell everyone what happened when you chose not to. What happened at home?
yeah. So my loving mother that I
The saint that we were
eventually
speaking of.
she yeah, I thought she was gonna kick me out of the house for the first time ever for not even doing something that like I wasn't, that was against the rules. So
It was against the rules. She had hauled you to play baseball every day of your life forever, and then you shut down her dreams.
she was not over it, and if she's listening to this at some point, she's probably still not over it. So
She's she's
let's
going to
not
open a
bring it
pack of cigarettes, and she does not smoke. So
let's not bring it up. Yeah.
I know I hear that because Quincy got a chance to go to overseas and play.
Mhm.
She'd already accepted a job, and I'm like, what? You know, her arm was a noodle at that point. It was
Yeah.
like spaghetti just hanging on by strings. And she's like, Mom, I'm done. I'm like, what do you mean? Because we were not done. We were so mad after the last game at Texas A&M that the whole family would have gotten on a plane and gone to Germany with her just to watch some more. But
Redemption to her, right?
no,
Yeah.
I love the fact that you knew what you wanted, even though it did break your mother's heart. But and it was every kid in America would love to have a shot at being drafted to go to the majors, but you knew it wasn't your deal, so you said no. That's pretty cool.
It was no, I was just having a conversation with somebody today actually about something not having the power over you, right? And I know
Yes.
preachers preach on it all the time as well. And when you take away their power, you win, right? Or vice versa. So when you give them power, they win, kind of deal. And so if it was interesting because it came up in my meeting this morning, and I think that I get asked all the time, "Do you regret it? Was it the right move?" I mean, for my entire life up to that point, sports, competing in something was everything that I hung my hat on, right? Right, wrong, or indifferent. That was what was my driving force. And I finally made a decision that I have to this day never regretted. It has allowed me to have the life and the family and everything I have now. And that's an easy decision for me at that point. Um, Obviously, do I still love the game? And we were playing slow pitch softball. Just started doing that, and so it's been a good what would you call it? Neon sign saying, "Hey, maybe you should stay retired, but also enjoy yourself." To understand where that fine line is. So
That's your groin right now, how it feels
yeah,
about you playing
yeah,
softball.
it was it. The first week one was tough on me.
For
So
everybody. It's like the whole what is your team called? I love it.
we're
It's
the coverage crushers.
coverage
So
crushers,
yeah,
especially
so
risk insurance coverage crushers. And I think some of their parts needed coverage after the game, but they also are the most competitive people on the planet, and they annihilated the first team, which I just find to be hilarious
we got the
because
win,
they
but
can't,
yeah,
y'all couldn't just easily let it go. You had to beat them like what, 18-3 or some horrible number. It was
yeah,
bad.
I think we won by 50.
It
I
was
wasn't
bad.
proud of that. I wasn't proud of that.
Yes, I will say that our famous Coach Roderick in Webb City would have put on the B team. You guys should be ashamed of yourselves. You should have
Mhm.
pulled some benchers in there at that point.
We will be better about it next time. Yes.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. So we got the reason I invited you today. Well, all this stuff is fabulous, but is not only to talk about that, but to talk about we got to talking the other day about the portal and the way that the college sports is being run now, and how bad it sucks that you guys didn't have the opportunity to get some moolah, except that I and you and I both have talked about how very torn we are with it. We
Right.
always grew up with I think one of our friends was quoted one time, I think it was Trey Derryberry said, It's not the name on the front, or it's not the name on the back of the jersey that matters. It's the name on the front. And I'm sure lots of people have probably said that, but it is. It's your team. And when you're playing for in a college team, I've always felt like your education was what was important. That was what you were there for. But what I've since come to realize is that some of these kids, this is all they got. I mean, this is the only chance they're ever going to have to make a ton of money because they have a possible injury, you know, the possibility of injury, possibility of just never having those, they never get to shot to move on. So give me all your feels about it.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. And to start this conversation off is it was not something that Quincy and I got to go through because it wasn't a thing when we were playing.
Right.
So I'm seeing it from an outsider's view, but understanding the gist of it, right?
Yeah.
But the quick version of it is, and then I'll kind of get into more detail. But the quick version of it is they are treating these college athletes like professionals, and that comes with very good things, and that comes with very um, hard decisions that can turn into bad things for a young individual, male or female, right?
Right.
So I say all that because, we talked about a few specific examples, but you got a young lady that's pitching in the College World Series for Texas Tech, in the final, in the championship series against Texas tomorrow. Okay. Kennedy is her last name.
Yeah.
She was at UCLA or somewhere like that.
No, she was at
Stanford.
Stanford, yeah.
Stanford. She was at Stanford, and long story short is she had the highest NIL deal in college softball. Not obviously football's got some pretty serious numbers
In
there.
college softball ever.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's
they
$1
allowed
million.
it.
She got paid $1
Yep.
million to come and play for
Texas
Tech.
Tech, yep, found a way to get her a contract that paid her $1 million to come play softball there. And guess what? I don't know the number they make for making it to the championship series of softball, but they're getting paid back.
Yeah.
I mean, now that's not always the story, right? That doesn't always work out. But
Well, and I mean, last night when I was watching the game, I was thinking of so many different ways this was going to go because it's like, oh, because Oklahoma came back and I'm like, well, your $1 million didn't pay off, and then they did, and it's like, holy moly, maybe you really can buy everything, it's like, you can't. There's still some integrity there, and there's still some, you got to have the athletes to back it up. I mean, they hit their way out of it. So that was the coolest part for me, is they actually hit their way out of it, and they backed her up, and she was a rock star through the whole thing. But another cool story about her is that the fact that, our Patrick Mahomes, who I'm a huge fan of, reached out to her and wooed her to Tech. I love that story.
Yep.
And anyway, go ahead. So
it's changed the obviously there's schools. I mean, it's very obvious. Some schools have a ton of donors and a ton of money going into their athletic programs, and some schools don't have anything. And so it's made for an interesting deal. But here's what's also happened, in my opinion, and I'll use UTSA and the baseball side of things. They just won the Texas, the Austin Regional. Okay, and UTSA was where I coached before, so I still like to follow them. And long story short is that they're a program that they may have some donors that have some good money, but their facilities aren't just amazing. They don't have a lot besides, the city, which is San Antonio, which is a wonderful city, to sell you on. Cash can help at that point, which benefits them. But the other part that comes into play is some of these kids that go to a University of Texas, let's say, amazing school, amazing opportunity. I mean, who wouldn't go there if they're going to offer you a scholarship to come play? But what it allows is, let's say that now someone transfers in after your freshman year, that's a stud shortstop from Georgia. Well, you're the old shortstop, and this kid came in they're paying him $1 million. You think they're just going to let him not play?
Right.
No, they're going to play him. Well, then, so what do? I go to UTSA down the road, and I'm a University of Texas caliber player, but I'm going to go play at UTSA. Well, if that happens 4, 5, 6 times at all these schools around Texas or even in the South, that opens up the floodgates for these kids to go play and be competitive and not chase the dollar. Um,
And just like you and Quincy said, this is the first time in history that the College World Series, the women's, the softball World Series, all these new teams, some of these teams have never been there, right?
I think it was 4 of the 8 had never been first appearance,
Four of the eight.
is
That's got
amazing.
to be a coincidence. I mean,
It's
not a coincidence.
amazing.
Not a coincidence.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I think it's
Yeah.
benefited in the two that are in Texas and Texas Tech. Neither one of them's ever won, so somebody will win their first ever, title for their school, which is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Listen, dynasties are amazing, and they're something to be celebrated. But to see the we thought it was going to make it even harder for teams to be competitive, but I think it's actually done the opposite.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was totally at the worst possible idea I could ever
Right.
imagine, and it was just going to make kids jerks and just all the money going to their heads and all these things. But it has made it more competitive. That's one of the things Kevin has always said. With even with insurance, he said there is more insurance on my way from my house to my office than I can ever sell in a lifetime.
Yeah.
Competition just makes you better. I mean, it really,
Ooh.
really does. It just makes you better in everything. Even restaurants, you think, oh gosh, we don't want to have another restaurant in town because, you don't want to take away from our friends. Well, you got to eat somewhere else occasionally, so that, and
Yeah.
it just makes that you want to eat at that place again more instead of never wanting to eat there because you're sick of it. It
Right.
just makes it better. Every competition makes everybody on their game. And so, what about, the exchange last night with the coaches? Did you watch?
So, though you're talking about the Florida deal,
No. Oh gosh, what happened for Florida? I missed that.
not sure. It's There's a lot of words that we are not going to say on video, but
Oh,
long story short, in the baseball side of things, there was a pretty serious, heated conversation. That's what I've been talking to people about for the last couple of days.
oh
But
wow.
did
No, they didn't have an exchange, but Coach Gasso and Coach, what is it, Glasgow
Yeah, I think so
for
actually. Yeah.
Tech, they did
Yep.
not. They did not shake hands. I don't think they. It was pretty icy,
So
maybe a
we
little spicy.
Now that you say that, me and Quincy did notice that. We didn't look too much into it, but we noticed it, and it felt personal.
Yeah, it was
Um,
real personal.
I'll be
So
honest with
I
you
think,
too.
yeah, go ahead.
The Both of them, I've listened to both of them speak, and obviously Patty Gasso's faith and just the way that she manages young people is something to be celebrated more, I think, than winning 4 straight national championships. Okay,
Yes,
every single person that plays for her is a better person when they leave. That is important.
that's
Um,
huge.
I have heard the same thing about Tech's coach. I don't know, obviously he's been in the limelight less, just naturally, but
Well, he
the
coached for Louisiana, right? He came from Louisiana. That
correct.
was his girl pitching for Patty.
The young lady that was pitching for OU was at
Yeah,
Louisiana with him. Correct.
yeah, yeah,
And so that was wild, and that's what's fun about this sport is I still have people that I talk to that I've either played one tournament with maybe when I was 12, or I played 4 years with them and lived with them for 4 years in college, kind of deal.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's such a unique deal, and you're never going to be, it's the rodeo world, that I'm learning about now, but it's all the same. The rodeo world gets a little more clicky, I think, just because you're traveling. You're coast to coast, truly coast to coast. Mine was
Mm,
more regional, baseball
mm-hmm.
wise. But no, I didn't appreciate the exchange, and here's why. I'm all for competition. I understand it. Me and Quincy have also talked about this a ton. Showing frustration when you lose is not always a bad thing. Making it about you and showing your bad side to gain is wrong. So there's a right and a wrong way to lose, right? Obviously,
Right.
but we are hoping to teach our kids that caring enough that you don't like to lose is okay. Putting somebody else down to win is not okay.
Exactly.
So there's a right and a wrong way to do both. And I understand it's the biggest game that the Tech coach for sure has ever played in up to
Yeah,
that point.
right. Yeah, ever.
Patty's been there 4 straight years, and many more before that. So I expected Patty to handle it more professionally, in my opinion. But again, I'm not blaming her for anything. I
No,
just think it's if we're talking about it, that means other people are talking about it. That means 12-year-old girls are talking about it. I
well,
mean,
and I don't know how to do the social media stuff, so I don't even know how to like look it up because I was trying to find some because I'm sure there's a million memes and stuff about it
oh
today
yeah,
because it was so, and I was so focused on the pictures because being a pitcher's mom, it's so hard because your kid is either the hero or the zero. And
mm-hmm.
and we have been on both sides of that. And Kevin and I could not even sit together at a ball game because I would be so upset. And when in being going to college made things, it was so different for us because I was always screaming at Quincy, from the stands. And I can't imagine Pat Atwood wasn't doing the same, but I'm sure he was very quiet. But I know how embarrassing it is for the children because it's embarrassing. But they literally, like, when you get to college, Coach Iverson, if you said one word, and this is JUCO, your kid didn't play. I mean, they
Yep.
benched him. I mean, that's the first thing he said to us. Listen, we're not in high school anymore. I'm the coach. If you open your mouth, I don't care if your kid is on, here on a full scholarship or not. She's not playing.
Right.
So shut up or, and sit still
Just
or
show, just show up
get
and
out.
support. Yeah, just
Yeah,
show up
yeah.
and
If
support
you
the team.
just be supportive, and that that was the hardest thing for me. And they were at the college national, um, not the national finals, but the before the a tournament to get them on to the finals. And then Quincy overthrew to first base, like not just overthrew, but out of the out of the
I heard the
field.
story.
Just yeah, and I lost it. And and coach is like, what your mom said, I mean, it was, and I did the same thing at Texas State, and I was right at the, I mean, it was Cat Osterman, for crying out loud, and I am standing over the dugout screaming at Quincy, and Cat said, what your mom said. And so I actually got to stay in the dugout, or I got to stay in the game. They were not terribly mad because we came back and won, thank God. But and that was, my husband is not a terribly emotional guy, as you know. He doesn't show a lot of emotion in
Right.
life. He's not he's a lot better than he used to be. He's more soft-hearted. Those grandkids have broke him down, but he's I mean, I've seen Kevin cry maybe 3 times in the history of our life together in 32 years, and he had some big old tears welled up in his eyes when we won that won that tournament that day. I mean, he
Right.
was so proud of her, and she just pitched her rear off. I mean, there was just nothing left. And then when we got to national finals and made it all the way through to the championship game, and oh my gosh, she was just a noodle. But then got 9 Division I offers. It was just incredible. It was such an incredible experience, and everybody should get to go through that, but they don't. I mean, that's the thing, is they don't. And playing was so important for Quincy too. I'll never forget when I called that night before the next game. I said, hey, I was even sleeping in blue and yellow. I mean, I claim I'm not superstitious, but I'll tell you what, I will do some dumb stuff because anything to to get the good juju going. But I even had on
Absolutely.
my blue and yellow that night in bed. And I said, listen, the worst we can do is third. And I will never forget it as long as I live. She's on the phone and she goes, we did not come here for third. I'm like, okay, have a great night.
Yeah.
See you
Sleep
tomorrow.
good, man. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I mean, she was so serious. But I'd always know too when I'd gone too far, because just the look I get from the circle, she'd come at me after the game, and I was like, oh well, this is going to be mom's getting the speech today, not not my child. So I learned a
Yeah,
whole lot of more about from her than she ever learned from me.
she she is she is an amazing mixture of competitive but grace. I mean, it's she's okay to accept losing when everything on her end has been done, and she gets beat by somebody. She's extremely graceful in that moment. She's extremely transparent a different way when it's a lack of um, preparation of as to why it didn't work out. And
Yeah.
I say that about her, but I mean I'm the same way, and
I was gonna say you're exactly the same way. You both
so it
are
works really good,
you're your worst critics. I mean, you're your
right?
hardest critics for sure, which is why you're both great at your jobs too now, and I think you're amazing parents and all the things. But the last thing, so you had a meeting this morning. I assume that was probably one of your men's groups. Is that
Actually, that's on Thursdays now. We go get our coffee on Thursdays and get to be uh, go sit with 4 or 5 individuals that are all men and just have some coffee and get to catch up and talk about all sorts of things. This morning was just I'm on a board actually there's a new science center coming to town. It's extremely STEAM based, where it's a big science center where if you're in Kansas City or Northwest Arkansas or somewhere around here, it's there already is one in those cities. Well, we're bringing one to Joplin.
very
So
cool?
I'm on the committee to help raise funds to get it, fully done. They're halfway through at this point, and the cool part for me is it's the first one I've ever done. I've never done a capital campaign of any sort. It's an extremely personal one for me because we will live in this area for the rest of our lives. My kids will grow up here. I hope my grandkids will grow up here. This will only give them a possibility to be a kid, right? And make a paper airplane and see how far you can throw it, but it also will teach them things that is extremely important, to any parent, and that's mentally growing and understanding how things work. So it's really a neat deal. But the nice part is the lady I met with that's in charge of the entire thing, I guess you would say, we talked about it for a little bit, but we really talked about life a ton, which is the part I love most about this job and this line of work is I get to sit with people all day long. I'm going to go ride around in a gentleman's truck this afternoon at Stockton Lake and look at some stuff he owns, and you don't get. I would have never met this man, and I'm going to get to know him in a quick hurry. But it's the part that I enjoy about it the most.
So the last thing I want to talk to you about, and then I'll let you go because I know you're busy. But one of the things, and I've told you every year on your birthday, I think I send you the same message, or at least I write about it on Facebook. But I'm, and I might cry. I'm going to try not to cry, but I'm just so proud of you because of not only are you such an honorable husband and father, but you have grown so much in your relationship with the Lord. And I am so proud of you for that, because man, it just doesn't, it, it's not that easy. I mean, it is, if people would just, you know, listen to him and read his word and get involved somewhere where that they can hear what he's saying. I didn't get it until I quit my job and went outside. And I mean, I've always had a relationship with God, but I didn't hear him until I was actually outside. And I think, I will never, ever not believe that God put you and Quincy together, because you guys build each other up in such an amazing way. And it's little things, I feel sorry for people that have to worry about their spouses and what they're doing and all these things, because I have had the honor to be married to a man for 32 years that it never crossed my mind one time that he might not be faithful to me. And I see that confidence in my daughter, even when there's situations where they talk about how handsome Kevin is all the time. Well, I hear those same things about
Right.
you, and all you only have eyes for your beautiful wife, and that's that is from God, it is. And so you are just a walking testament of what God wants for everyone. And I am just so proud of you. Is
Yeah, it's
there,
been, y'all as a family have changed my life. Obviously, Quincy on the side of marriage and truly raising a family, but seeing the things that you guys put your, hang your hat on, for lack of a
yeah,
better term, right? What am
yeah,
I what do
literally,
people
literal hat,
yeah, what
big
do
one.
people say about that I hang my hat on, right? I want it to be a be everyone has their aspirations of what they want it to be, right? And me and Quincy talk about it all the time because I we met when we were both already done with college and both working.
And
That was the
you
best.
were coaching. You were
Yeah,
coaching a baseball team at a
yep.
college. Yeah.
I was still at a college coaching, and she had just finished and was coaching at the insurance agency down there in Texas. And that you talk about God bringing two people together and divine timing and all this stuff. I mean, I truly believe that it would not have worked if we had met each other 3 years prior.
Oh, right.
Uh,
Yeah,
just different
absolutely.
people. My mindset was in a different way, and to be completely honest, I don't even know if you know this part, but I actually told Quincy this the other day. I don't even know that she knew till uh, a couple months ago. But the first day that she called me and said, "Hey, we're gonna go get breakfast on Sunday," I said, "Okay, I'll meet you there." And she goes, "Well, we're gonna go to church first." I literally just said, "Well, of course," and like never missed a beat, and just like she probably thought I went to church every Sunday at that point. And just transparency wise, I didn't. And so I literally just made her, I knew that I needed to do anything possible to spend an hour with her. Didn't matter,
Oh,
30 minutes. And so long story short is it was, fake it till you make it is what comes to mind. But I literally just made her believe uh, that I that this was normal Sunday routine for me. And now all we talk about and what our kids talk about on Thursday night when they're getting ready for bed is, "Hey, it's tomorrow Sunday. Are we going to church tomorrow?" Charles, we're like, "No, baby, tomorrow's Friday." Um, okay, but we're gonna go Sunday, right? Like it's changed so much to no, it is now. It is, like riding a bike. It's second nature. It's on the calendar, right? It's already
yeah.
done. And
And he
so
wears his little
it's been
ichthus shirt every Sunday. He has to wear his little fish shirt every
he
Sunday.
he is famous in that place because it is honestly it's an awesome shirt. I don't even know where we found it, but
No,
it
I
does.
got it.
It's
Of course I got
you
it.
found it. That makes
Yeah.
sense because
Amazon.
it's white
Amazon.com.
with the yellow fish, and he is famous for that shirt, and he wears it proudly. But no,
I gotta find another one because he's growing.
yeah, it's been it's been a very very fun. Gosh, we've been married 6 years this month coming up, and
Doesn't
um,
even seem possible.
no, it doesn't.
Well, and
But
it's not church just on Sunday though. It shows in everything that you guys do. I mean, you guys are just exactly the what the Bible talks about is shining your light, and people want to know what it is and what that, why that you guys are successful and why you're happy and why you're all these things, and it's because you've got this great faith that just beams out of both of you all the time, and the babies are already doing it too. Boy, they hold me accountable for all kinds of things. If I
yeah,
say a bad word, or if I say even poop, I can't even say poop anymore. I'm on the
yeah,
line for that. So I've
they
tried to, I'm really on in trouble a lot of the time with both of them. So
well, they're relentless, and the best thing is Charleston and Autry does it too. But Autry's favorite thing is to sing. She doesn't
yes,
care if you're in the room or not. She doesn't care if we're in a car. She doesn't care what's going on. She's going to sing. Well, Jesus loves me, Lord's Army. All of those
yeah,
are her
the Lord's
favorite songs.
Army is quite popular one over
Yeah,
here. They
but
march and sing that one a lot.
Charleston, just recently, you can see the click in them because you used to we used to ask him every Sunday, well, hey, bud, how was class? He goes to a little Sunday school class, and hey, bud, how was class? What did you learn about today? And he would always say, Jesus loves me. And we're like, he does. And then we, expand a little bit about, well, what was the story? And he didn't ever really kind of remember, which he's 3.5 at this point. And long story short, here in the last couple of weeks, we ask him the same question when we go pick him up. And Trish, he will literally tell us start to finish the story they learned about that day. I mean, the little boy is soaking it in, and it's
so
so
huge.
awesome right now. Yeah.
It is. It's huge
Very
too,
fun.
because that's the foundation. And when you start like that, man, you can't take it out of them, which is just the best thing ever.
Yeah. I said this in my meeting this morning. I said, me and Quincy, life's been very fast for 6 years, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And Quincy has always said this, but I actually said it in the meeting I was talking to the lady this morning, was when you know whose you are, nothing else matters, right? When you know whose you are, nothing else matters. And that has been very, very loud. Jesus is everywhere at this point. That's what we tell our kids, right? He's everywhere. He's out there in the pasture. He's in the chicken coop. He's doing all the stuff, right? But at
That's
the end of
right.
the day, when you can truly live that way, it's powerful because it releases the hold over you of
Over
it
you.
just releases the power of where you're next. Are we going to have enough money to pay rent, this, that, and the other? Are we going to, raise kids that are loving Jesus and bringing people up and not bringing people down? And it really gives you so much peace. It's unbelievable.
So much peace. It's an incredible thing. And I hope that people listening can, if they have any questions about something like that and want to reach out, that just know that we're always here to talk to you. And if you have, if you just need somebody to talk to, we can do it. But
Well, that's
I,
just it. I think what you're doing on this, Trish, and I don't know that I've ever told you this either, but at the end of the day, you're giving people an avenue to grow in their faith. And when you bring on Quincy's been on here, Nina's been on here, some other folks that we all know. And at the end of the day, we all have different ways of uh, approaching faith. We all have different ways of how we got there. We all have, our own stories.
oh
That is
yeah,
the
everybody's got a
most,
story. Every
most
single person
powerful
has a
part of this.
story. And
Yep.
that's the
Anybody
cool part.
listening?
But you can't hear it if you don't get out. And that's one of the things that you do. You guys, that's the other thing I love about you. You make so much time for you and Quincy make time for each other, which a lot of people just don't do. But you guys will set date nights, and man, you just do it.
Yep.
Like this weekend, you're going to go to a concert. So I'm going to have 3 little tinies over
You
here.
are.
And I'm honored to get to be able to do that. But you gotta keep honoring. You guys are so good at honoring one another, and make it. You guys are doing it right. So I'm really proud of you. Thanks for talking to me today, and thanks for
Sure.
talking about explaining kind of the portal, and who we rooting for tomorrow night. Who's going to
I
win the ball
just
game?
I got to go for Tech.
I just have to too. You just have to. I mean, it's not just for Patrick, but at this point, man, they've just rallied. I'm so
Yeah.
proud of them. So
This, stars are aligning. I guess is the word I'm used. Stars are aligning.
okay,
I'm gonna finish it.
Red Raiders it is. We will not tell Kat that we had this conversation. If she's listening to the podcast,
Deny,
Mama
deny, deny.
Kat, I am so sorry. We love you, but we are going with Tech on this one.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
all right.
Okay.
Thank you, honey.
Thank you. See you later.